What do you think is India's favorite snack? Quick hint, it's not bhujia, not even samosa. India's favorite snack is Dolo. You know the tablet, Dolo? At least 3.5 billion of them have been sold since the beginning of this pandemic, 3.5 billion. You know how many that is? If you stack up all of the tablets, the Dolo tower will be taller than Burj Khalifa, 63,000 times taller. And it will also be 6,000 times taller than the Mount Everest. Such is our towering love for this tiny tablet. The question is why? Dolo 650 is a painkiller. It treats headaches, fever. Why did we consume 3.5 billion of them? Were so many of us sick in the last 2 years? Did doctors tell us to munch on these pills? Or did we do what we do best? Self-medicate. Hello and welcome. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay and this is Gravitas Plus. 52% of Indians today self-medicate, meaning we buy, consume and suggest medicines without consulting a doctor. If we have a headache, we pop a Disprin. If we have cough, we drink cough syrup. Heartburn, pop an antacid. All of these medicines are readily available in most Indian homes. We have a big, diverse box of medicines that we like to open on a daily basis. But what if that heartburn we just popped an antacid for was not acidity? What if it was our heart signaling something worse, like a heart attack? What we just did was ignore the problem. Ideally, we should have spoken to a doctor. Instead, we played doctor, ended up with a misdiagnosis. And this is one of the many problems with self-medication. We all know it. Then why do we do it? One, because we do not feel the need to see a doctor, especially for a minor health issue like a headache, fever, cough and cold or stomachache even. Two, it's expensive. Visiting a doctor at a private facility in India will cost you at least 500 rupees. It can go up to 1500. And this is just the cost of consultation. The doctor may ask you to run tests like an ECG, ultrasound, MRI, and these can cost you up to 4,000 rupees. Of course, there are more affordable options like government facilities, but they're always packed. Getting a slot for a test is quite a fight, and getting a doctor's appointment is a long way. So we just pop that pill. It saves us time and money. Also, we have another option. The chemists. In India, chemists double up as doctors. They prescribe medicines. When we're not sure which pill to pop, we just ask the nearest chemist. He may not have an MBBS, but he does have counter experience, and we have safely assumed that the two are the same. Well, they're not. Self-medication is dangerous. Again, let me tell you why. These are the most common types of medicines we keep at home: antacids, painkillers, antibiotics, cough syrup and sleeping pills. In India, most of these are available over the counter. We consume them without prescription and often lose track of the dosage. What happens then? The antacid that you thought was safe can lead to malabsorption. Here's a study for your reference. Popping too many of these pills will affect your small intestine. It will not be able to absorb enough nutrients. So your body will become weak, and you may end up with bone fractures. How many antacids are too many? Only your doctor can answer that question. This study says 1.5 pills a day. It says women and young people are more at risk of malabsorption. Then we come to painkillers. Most of us carry them in our office bags. A little headache and we pop these pills. We also generously offer them to our colleagues. You have a headache? Take this. Did you know that painkillers can damage your kidneys? Doctors say overconsumption of painkillers increases the load on your kidneys. They may stop functioning. You may end up on dialysis or need a transplant. Extreme cases, but very much possible. How many painkillers are too many? Again, ask your doctor. I suggest you also read this article from Johns Hopkins Medicine. Painkillers may give us quick relief from a backache or a toothache, but they also increase our chances of heart attacks. Harvard Health cites a study to say the risk increases within the very first week of taking the pill. Also, full disclosure, before preparing this episode of Gravitas Plus, we spoke to several doctors, not one or two, but several reputed doctors, and all of them had the same thing to say. The danger of self-medication is real. The danger of over-medication is real too. Painkillers are not our best friends. They have links to stomach ulcers. But did you know any of this? How would you? Which chemist warns us about the risk of these medicines? Which WhatsApp group tells us about over-medication? Which neighbor reminds us that the antibiotic she's suggesting can contribute to antibiotic resistance? The OTC market or the over-the-counter market is betting on this half-baked knowledge. The Indian OTC market is currently valued at $7.62 billion. How did we get there? Because of all the medicines we bought and ate for nothing. Take antibiotics, for example. These medicines kill bacteria in our body without harming us. When Alexander Fleming discovered the first antibiotic, penicillin, in 1924, it was considered a medical miracle. It meant people would no longer die because of bacterial infection caused by a simple cut. 97 years later, the abuse of antibiotics has put us at risk all over again. India is the largest consumer of antibiotics in the world. In 2020, at least 16,290 million doses were sold in India. We have overused these medicines to an extent that the bacteria in our bodies have become resistant to them. In India, the resistance rate of E. coli to new powerful drugs is 82%, and this is as of 2001. So in case you have a urinary tract infection and the doctor gives you an antibiotic, there's a good chance the pill will not work on you. That's what we call antibiotic resistance, and it is very scary. When a person becomes resistant, medicines stop working on her. It becomes impossible for a doctor to treat her. Antibiotic resistance or drug resistance has become one of the leading causes of deaths globally. It killed over 1.2 million people in 2019. That's 3,500 deaths per day. Another reason why we should not self-medicate. We don't know how the medicine can interact with our food. It may react with our existing medicines like diabetes medicines or thyroid medicines. What we don't realize is that every medicine has a side effect. You must have heard of molnupiravir. It's an antiviral used to treat the Wuhan virus. India gave this pill a restricted and emergency use approval last year. Soon people rushed to get their hands on the pill. Since this drug was sold only to those with a valid prescription, people began sharing prescriptions over WhatsApp. But no one realized that this pill has risk of birth defects. It is not recommended for women of reproductive age, or for that matter, even men. But people don't know about this. They're buying molnupiravir like Dolo. Today, most of us take medicines for no apparent reason. A couple of sneezes and we start popping pills that are being prescribed to COVID patients. One person in the family tests positive and the remaining members start taking so-called precautionary medication. God forbid we test positive, then all of us take it. Hydroxychloroquine, molnupiravir, even remdesivir. It does not work that way, you see. Doctors are sharing horror stories about COVID self-medication. Let me read some of them for you. He took a family member's prescription, which was written by a pulmonologist, and started on those drugs straight away instead of consulting the doctor first. By the time he came to me, his oxygen was 72 and I had to refer him elsewhere. I later learned he died. Here's another one. A few days ago, I came across a patient who had taken every antibiotic he knew for fever and sore throat and came to me after 5 days saying he was not feeling any better. Since he had taken everything, I told him I'm prescribing him paracetamol, which is the only medicine he has not taken. How did we get here? Because of the ready availability of drugs, India, like most countries, lists medicines under different schedules. One category is prescription drugs. Another is for drugs that must be sold with a cautionary label. But unlike most countries, India does not have a category for over-the-counter drugs. In fact, the phrase OTC has no legal recognition in India. What's worse, a lot of prescription drugs are sold without a prescription. So what we need urgently are strict and implementable rules. This is the first step towards stopping self-medication. Here's what else we can do. Make verified medical professionals more accessible. Online consultation platforms have helped tremendously, as have virtual meetings, but more needs to be done, especially keeping in mind the rural population. We must also address the affordability of healthcare. This will encourage more people to seek medical help. And finally, we must educate ourselves. Be responsible, trust the experts, stop forwarding WhatsApp remedies, stop sharing your prescription with others, because all of this will not help your friends and family. It will only harm them.